Good afternoon. Welcome back to episode 2. I'm Frankie Vitella. We're going to start our Sunday gravy that we've been talking about. And just to address the elephant in the room, there were 2 yolks in that egg. Here we go. These are the products that we are going to be using. I like to try to use some stuff that are kind of local to this area when I could. The shirt I'm wearing is an Italian store here in Trenton, Cento Tomatoes. This is Botto's sausage that we're going to be using. They're also from South Jersey. We're going to be using Galbani Regatta. These are my 2 favorite pastas to use. The Cecco pasta is probably my favorite, which is Giuseppe Coco. This is the meat we're going to be using. We have spare ribs. We have sausage. This is Braciole. These are pork chops. These are neck bones. Not everyone may have access to this. I'm really not sure, but this was a staple in the sauce because it's a lot of bone. There's not that much meat, a decent amount of fat on it, which is very good. So if you can get them, that's great. We are going to make some Braciole, which was another staple in my house, and I'm sure a lot of houses. This is Trop Round. It's very thin sliced Trop Round. You can use other meats. My grandmother sometimes and my mother would use flank steak also. So there was different ways of doing it. It cooks good and I just like it this way. And because it's gonna cook in the sauce for a couple hours, it gets very tender, even though Trop Round isn't super tender meat. Let's get started. We put chopped garlic in every one, just like this. It's whole peeled garlic and chopped. So I'm gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper. I like salt and pepper just about everything. So I have the salt and pepper on it. And now we are going to add the other ingredients, which is a lot of parsley, chopped parsley, fresh always, and Pecorino Romano cheese. It's not measured out, it's just, you fill it up pretty good. Because we're gonna roll that. Just kind of tuck it in when you could. Now, to keep these tucked in, I'm gonna use toothpicks to hold them. Fold this together like this, so it doesn't slip out of the side. And you just toothpick it. We'll fold it towards where the opening is. Lock it in there as best you could, because you want all that flavor to be inside when you cut it open. Now we're gonna start frying the meat. I have about a half a cup of olive oil in here. It's a large pan. Again, you can cut this recipe down, but if you wanna do it, this is the way we did it. This was from the meatballs that we fried. I'm gonna pour that right in here. All the flavor is in here and in the bottom of this. There's very little other spices that we put into the sauce itself. The only thing I put in the sauce is salt, pepper, and fresh basil. Everything else comes from the flavor of the meat. It doesn't matter which order you put it in because it's all going to be going in the same place. We get it golden brown, but it doesn't have to be cooked all the way through inside the tomato sauce. Everything else will cook to temp, believe me. A little salt and pepper. Now we're gonna turn the meat. I let it cook about 8 minutes on one side. So you could judge it however it starts to look for you. Nice and cooked, nice and brown. We'll let these cook for about another 8 minutes. There's not an Italian household I know that doesn't have at least one wooden spoon, and it was used to stir sauce or gravy or soups or whatever, and it was used, we would get whacked with it. The wooden spoons in my day were very hard. These break, they did it. This is all of your flavor. This is everything right here. I'm gonna strain it a little bit just to get any of the impurities, any of the pieces of little meat that are in there. I want that out of there. We didn't use oil. We would use fat, lard. My grandmother would drain it like this, and that was the startup for most of our things. And most of the people in my neighborhood, that's the way it was. Probably not very healthy, but this is maybe the little more healthy version of it. This is the pot that I'll be using. It's quite a large pot. Not everyone has a pot like this. You don't have to do it quite this big. Again, this is the way we did it. Just to give you an idea, in this large pot, I used about a half a cup. This is about 5 cloves of garlic that I only chopped in half. It never was chopped up inside the sauce. So we're gonna let that cook for a little bit. Don't want it to brown really because then it starts to get a little bitter. These are Cento tomatoes. I think they're outstanding. If you can get them, they're perfect. They're from a region in Italy that I believe it's Campania, where there's a lot of volcanic growth there. And the tomatoes are very meaty. The flesh in the tomatoes are very good. They're an excellent product. If you can't, you get other tomatoes. I choose to get these tomatoes whole, and I grind them. I use an emulsifier, I grind them. You could buy tomatoes that are already crushed. Nice, kind of a little bit of thicker sauce without using anything to thicken it. My grandmother or mother would use tomato paste. I don't like to use it. I think it makes the sauce a little bitter. I do it right inside the can, actually. I grind them right inside the can. You could do it in a blender. You could do it however you like it. As my mother would say, mud on. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to my wife, Danielle, because I'm like, nobody's going to be interested in something like that. Well, I was quite wrong, because our feedback is incredible, and I thank you all again for that. And then my daughter-in-law for being able to do the camera work and everything else that she does. It's starting to brown up a little bit. It's enough. I'm going to just lower this a little bit. We would rinse the pan, where the tomatoes were. So in this case, because the tomatoes are fairly thick, you need some water in there, because these are going to cook for about 2.5 hours. So as it cooks, the water is going to evaporate, so you need water in there. But I have about a quarter of this can. And now I have about a half a can of water that we're going to be adding. I'm going to salt and pepper this. We never measured anything in my house ever. I go around a nice handful once, twice. That's what I do. So if you got a smaller pot, use a little less. Tomatoes need enough salt. Salt is key. Salt flavors. So you don't want to over salt, but you want to have enough salt. About a tablespoon of sugar. So I put actually a little less than a tablespoon. I like to do it. I think it does take the acid out of the tomato. We don't use any dried basil or oregano or anything like that. We don't do it. We just break this up and you throw that in the tomato. Pepper, I go around. That's about 2 teaspoons of pepper. Now we're going to start adding the meat. You should cook this on a medium to low key until it starts to boil. Once it starts to boil, it should go on a low key. You need to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to burn. You don't want to do all this work and have burnt sauce, because that's no good. It's thick right now still. When it cooks all them hours, these ribs will fall off the bone, these neck bones will just be very tender. Sometimes if you put the meatballs in too early, they break. And all of this juice that's left in the thing, right in here, look. Boop. Now we have to let it cook, and then we'll go from there. We are about 45 minutes in. You can see what it looks like here. It's smelling amazing already. My mother always did this. She would always take all of this off. So you skim this, plus it skims some of the oil out of there. Scoop it out and discard it, that's all. We're gonna add the meatballs that we cooked, just like that. And this is gonna cook for at least another 1.5 hours. The whole process is about 2.5 hours. We'll leave that there now and let it cook. We move this pot of sauce off the stove. I want to put the macaroni in. Now I already salted the water. Probably about 3 tablespoons of salt that I put in here, because you want to definitely salt the water. It needs to be flavored. Again, for 1 pound of macaroni, at least 1 tablespoon of salt. You want room for the pasta to cook. You don't want to have just enough, especially for this dish. So while that's cooking, we're going to go start taking the meat out of the gravy. This is the way we did it. Everything came out. As the meat was settling, then we would get ready to do the pasta. These are our bracioles. Got to just be careful, because don't forget you have toothpicks in them. And this is how we really used to test it. Watch you don't burn your mouth. Never rinse pasta, except the only time I will rinse pasta is when I'm making soup. A couple ladles. It's called painting the pasta. This way it gets sauce on all of it. Give this a good mix. Put the macaroni right in. Beautiful sauce right on the top. All right, let's put it on the table. Very good. It's very simple. Our meatball, good. I would always put a little cheese, because that was a must. Red hot pepper seeds. And I want to say that we put the ricotta in a fancy container, but this is exactly the way we had it on the table. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you make it and try it out. Till the next time, good food, good memories. See you soon.